Welcome to another episode of the Jay and Rob Toy Show, or maybe we could be the Rob and Jay Toy Show this week. Maybe we can flip it and just reverse things around. Do you think Jay would allow that to happen? Probably not. We've cemented that branding far too long. I'll let him be player one. So allow me to bring in the player one to my player two, the Mario to my Luigi, the Bond, the 007 to my 006, Mr. Jay Bartlett.
Hello, sir. I am ready for liftoff, takeoff, whatever you call it, when a jet takes off from an aircraft carrier. That's what I'm ready for. I can't wait for our show tonight. We got lots to talk about.
We'll go with takeoff. We'll go with launch. I'm sure there's a bunch of terms that are synonymous with a jet propulsion
because liftoff, I think, is a space shuttle, so we can't use liftoff. We'll say takeoff.
Okay, we'll do it. I am clearly not an aviation expert. I don't think you have your pilot's license quite yet.
But no, maybe never, but we'll see.
We will get to, obviously, all these jet propulsion terms because there's some big news to cover, I think. Maybe some surprising news, depending on where you come in and what you've noticed lately in the world of toys. Lots to talk about. It has been a very, very busy week. Let's just start with the small talk. How have you been, my friend, since the last time we talked a week ago?
What's up, Daniel? What's up, Nathan? How's it going, brother? Hope you're doing well. You're back and safe from your trip. That's awesome. Some great stuff there. I'm doing good, man. I'm enjoying, I guess, the early weather that we're getting. It's snowing a little quicker than it usually does, and it's sticking around. So just trying to enjoy it, trying to enjoy the Christmas season for once. I'm not a huge Christmas guy. What's up, Lisa, my darling? And the Robot Menace. What's up, dude?
I believe that's Danny, by the way, as the Robot Menace.
Oh, is it?
I believe
Okay.
So. I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. Bill,
our good buddy Bill. Yeah. I'm doing good, man. Just enjoying life, playing some music, enjoying the toys and all the great toy news we got this week, and all the great news that you've shared with me that we can't quite talk about yet. So, how about yourself?
News,
what's new?
Big news to share later this episode, of course. A little bit of tease. It's been a week of recharging and getting reset. We will talk about the adventures in Michigan soon enough and what has transpired there for Action Figure Adventure. Danny is confirming that he is the Robot Menace. Carlos is saying, hey guys, just saw season 1 in its entirety and it was great work. I enjoyed it very much. Looking forward to season 2. Carlos, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, my friends. Appreciate it.
We're in the midst of producing it. A little bit more to shoot, but we are well on our way to getting it done. A lot has been cut, which is a huge relief off my shoulders. This past week, like I said, it's been a bit of a recharge, a reset with everything that has happened. I wanted to get to the icebreaker this week, though, Jay. And, of course, this is brought to us and our partners, or by our partners, Retro Rags, Mock Masters, of course, Big Bad Toy Stores, and Heroes Comics in London, Ontario. And, of course, our Patreon backers who ensure that this stays a free endeavor and experience for all your listening ears and those watching eyeballs out there. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, give it a good smash. Like our good friend, the Junkman says, smash the shit out of that subscribe button. Show me that you love me. The icebreaker this week, Jay, I thought we could talk about some of the hobbies that we do outside of the world of toys. What do you do with some of your other passions? What do you do to get your heart pumping in another kind of area of life that isn't so toyetic?
Lots of time with friends. Friends are important. Friends are what keeps me going. So a lot of time with them when we can. Music, of course, is my number one. I'm pretty sure everyone out there who follows me to some degree knows that. Music is my everything. So enjoying playing music with Lisa and our buddies, coming over, jamming here and there, picking up the guitar again. What about you, man? Do you have any downtime?
Well, I am one of those poor son of a bitches that just loves his job so much. I honestly get such a thrill. It really tickles that fancy funny bone when I get to just be creative in any capacity, especially when I can just dial in the zone, sometime work, late at night to like 1 or 2 in the morning, just working and pushing through it and really crafting stuff. That really fills me, whether it's, something that we've done in the toy world or not. I also really love playing with my kids now that we're beginning a lot of snow outside. I'm literally the dad that shovels the backyard to make a big snow mound so we can have an ice hill to rock it
Yeah.
down at Griswold like world records. And I've been dabbling a little bit with Pikmin Bloom, which is the newest game by Niantic, the developers of Pokemon Go. So Pikmin Bloom is very much a step counter reward system with different Pikmin. So if you're into that, that's what
Oh,
I've
cool.
been toiling with. So a little bit of mobile gaming here and there, which is new for me. But I'm trying to find a way to game and do the work that I do and in between stuff. So
Yeah.
that's some of my love. That's kind of what I said to you when we were talking earlier this week. You know, you got to find that zen to really ground you, so we're not chasing all the analytics that seem to drive and motivate so much of what we do. And you found it in music, which is awesome. I'm trying to find it in other things, the simple things in life, like rocketing down snow hills with your children. So I'm loving that.
It's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, I've always found it in music, but just this year, yeah, just things have changed so much, and just really, really fun. Just picking up a guitar and learning a song or two every day, and loving it, man. It's awesome.
It's awesome. Bill Mullen wants to know: is there going to be a Kickstarter campaign? I'm guessing he's referring to season 2 of Action Figure Adventure, and yes, there will. And the story behind that is much like the first season. I really want to get this a lot closer to the finish line before we do that kind of endeavor. Mainly because I have Faking Filmation out there right now as well that had a very successful Kickstarter run. And I don't want to overlap them unless this is really ready to go. Bring in everybody that loved Action Figure Adventure Season 1 from Kickstarter. Let them be a part of it in the different ways. And then, you know, off to the races, kind of ship, print, and send off so that it isn't too much of a distraction and there isn't too much kind of outstanding. I don't like that kind of pressure. So
Yeah,
that's what I like to avoid. So Nathan likes the beanie, or what we call toques. That is great. We should talk about our bet, Jay. We have this ongoing toy bet. For everybody that doesn't know, a few weeks ago now, I think this is week 3 into the toy bet, Jay and I decided to not buy any toys whatsoever, be it new toys or vintage toys, until at least the end of our season run of the Jay and Rob Toy Show on Jinx Esports TV. Of course, we're halfway through that season now. Tonight we had Best of the Best, which was a very fun episode to record.
Mhm.
And it also features a segment with the wonderfully talented Nate Bart, who talks about his inspiration and his process for creating all that illustrative packaging design that you see on a lot of the Mythic Legion stuff. And of course, on Masters of the Universe products and other things as well. How is the bet going for you, my friend?
Not so bad. I didn't really run into much this week that kind of tempted me. There was a few Marvel Legends, a few like strange characters that I can't remember the one guy's name, but he's like this vampire guy that wants to kill Spider-Man. It's not Morbius, it's someone else, Mobus or
Blade?
something like that.
Not
No, he looks like Dimitri from Darkstalkers by Capcom. He was really cool, and I was like, I had it in my hand. I'm like, oh man, but I'm like, I don't know anything about this guy. He looks cool, but I don't really need him. I
That's the
almost
thing, right?
cracked.
if you're already on to the point where like, I don't know who this guy is, maybe I
Yeah,
don't need him.
he looks cool, but not $33 Canadian cool. And I saw RC from War for Cybertron, and she was on sale, and I don't have her to kind of top off my Transformers the movie collection, but I passed. So those were the only two things that really drew me in. There's a bunch of Bad Batch Black Series I saw, but I didn't really like the show, so they look really cool, but I passed on that. So I'm good so far. I'm still doing good. Still holding the line.
That RC is from the Studio 86 line, or is it from War for Cybertron?
It's from War for Cybertron, but
Okay.
now they've kind of interchanged and mixed them together. They're all the same scale, and she would absolutely fit in with the 86 line.
Okay.
Because RC didn't have an Earth form, right? She just had the Cybertronian car, so it would be the same thing, right? Yeah.
Right. That's fair. Although I find the Studio 86 ones certainly have a little bit more of a cartoon likeness to them. They're not as decked out to look as realistic with the textures that they're using, not only in the paint apps, but the sculpting. So Yeah, that would be a hard one for me to resist because I think she's such a wicked character in the film in particular.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah,
that's a tough one. It's been a tough week for me. I every time I think I got it under control and I get through a day or so, I just feel like, you know what, I'm good. I'm really, really good. And as I was saying to you in the green room before we launched tonight's episode, I've got 2 boxes in at the end of the hallway, just from Big Bad Toy Store. I don't even know what's in them, and that's the problem, Jay. Like, I have 2 boxes there, and I'm still struggling with the announcements that they're making online. Of course, we had the Black Series Book of Boba Fett characters announce and drop. We had our good friend, old Billy Red Tits from Bill Burr of The Mandalorian, Miggs Mayfield. His figure got revealed in his helmet and everything. Like, Jesus. Billy Red Ball's there chapping your ass a little bit.
But I wonder if they're gonna make another one, because the one they're doing is him in the Imperial whatever gunner outfit or whatever it is. They're not doing his like bounty hunter character. They're doing the in disguise version.
I hope they will, with the little arm that comes up, the gun that shoots off the side, the auto trigger. They'll make.
But yeah, he's gonna sell, man. I think he was such an amazing character in that show.
And that's the episode that he really crushed it, right? Where he's not just a one of several bounty hunters breaking out of jail. Like he shines in that episode. 100%.
Well, you learn his backstory, and he kills that officer right in the middle of that Imperial base, which is like so ballsy. Then him and Din have to get out of that situation. But yeah, that episode's fantastic.
Yeah, so
I gotta say, if I saw, I would break the bet if I saw him in the store 100%, because I have a feeling you'll never see that again. I don't know. I can't see that one being a peg warmer. So if I see the Bill Burr character Mayfield, I'm definitely breaking the bet. I just gotta tell you right now.
Okay, well, we got 5 weeks to see if you're gonna crack first, and you've already kind of drawn the line in the sand with that. Then, okay.
I think you would do the same. You can't pass up on that one. That's one that's a must buy. 100%.
Are you saying that's a gimme, that we're both absolved? Is that where we're going with this bet now, that there are certain ones?
Yeah, I know you're a huge Bill Burr fan, as am I, and I think if either of us saw it, it would be like one of those no choice. It's like, forget willpower. This is like a must buy kind of thing.
Now, does this mean I can go pre-order it like instantly, or does this mean like it has to be in person?
We said no new pre-orders. Existing pre-orders.
Well, we also said no buying at all, too. It's the same thing.
No new pre-orders. So
okay, so you're going to tell me how I get to buy this figure?
No, I'm saying new pre-orders count is breaking the bet, because it's essentially the same thing.
But you're saying that you would break the bet and buy this figure, and we both agree this is a figure that we would want. And I'm saying, should we call this a neutral figure? That it's okay if we buy this one because we're both in agreement.
No, it's going to be the poor sucker who sees it first loses the bet is what's going to
No, this is like we're opening one present Christmas Eve, and it's okay because it's just one.
No, you want that.
No?
I don't agree to those terms. I think we got to go cold turkey. Whoever sees Mayfield first is going to lose, basically, is how it's going to work.
Getting a little itchy here. Getting itchy here in the toy room. Toy room's getting itchy. I technically, for a very short period, I guess you could say, on the surface, lost the bet.
How so?
Well, there were some events that transpired in Michigan in the past week, which is my clever segue to talking about that. So, it's been in the works for about a month or so, in which that I had a remote crew, namely Tater the Toy Guy, Nathan, and his lovely wife Cindy, and our good friend Moto, go up from Texas and Atlanta respectively to meet our good friend Motu Joe in Michigan, because Big Bad Toy Store was generous enough to donate a pallet of 435 pounds of toys in the name of Action Figure Adventure Season 2. Reached out to them and said, hey, we're looking for a little help to kind of get these dollies to move towards dollars for the sake of the kids. They like Season 1. Of course, they carried it. They're a sponsor on Season 2. Everything just kind of lined up, but they couldn't ship it to Canada. So we had to get it somewhere in the U.S. Motu Joe was the first to raise his hand, say, I'll help. And we were able to put together basically, cover it with the crew and kind of film the arrival of it, Joe going through it. And then Joe called in the help of Justice Curry, who's been on the show before. And of course,
Yeah.
Pixel Dan made the drive up, the 6-hour drive up from where he lives to be a part of things and help push the needle and move this stuff. And they had a bit of an impromptu auction where they sold almost half of the stuff that they found, and there's still a lot of stuff left. Motu Joe is still working on it. But it was during this impromptu auction, and I didn't know anything that was being shipped from Big Bad, right? Like, so these guys are going through it and they're messaging me and I'm calling them and I'm writing story points for them to consider and shape everything how it goes. And then they start doing the auction and there's a Lords of Power set. So Lords of Power was one of the Masters of the Universe Origins. It's a 5-pack of figures, all done in the original design scheme for Masters of the Universe. So the way that Mark Taylor designed Skeletor and He-Man and Beastman, Merman, and Man-at-Arms. They each have different outfits. We've seen the re-release of Beastman and Merman, although those are slightly different than what is in this 5-pack as well.
So what set is this from? What set is this from then?
PowerCon exclusive from 2019.
So it's not part of any set. It's just like a one-time. Okay.
It's an exclusive, and you know those PowerCon exclusives, Jay. Those are hard to get your hands on. And
so Big Bad threw in one of those too. That's crazy.
They threw in one of those too, and I've seen those go for as high as $600 on eBay.
So what happened?
Well, I threw out a bid on it, and I won it. But
you're out then.
Okay, no. Listen.
Sure.
It was never for me. I bought it as a gift for Nathan. So I sent it back with Tater the toy guy for driving all the way to Texas, for helping us out to help capture it, for roping his wife, Cindy, in to help us as well, to get out there and basically take one for the team. They drove 3 days to get up there, stayed there for, I think, 5 or 6 days, and drove 3 days back for the cause to help us out. And, you know, don't have a lot of money these days because making films is expensive. And I thought the least I could do, and you know, Tater is a huge Origins fan. He got into it way after this set came out. I thought, here's an opportunity to help the kids, but also say thank you for the effort that he did. So,
that's great, man. Yeah. So you're
I
safe.
sent it back.
You're safe.
Yeah, I bought him a gift. That's the thing. He didn't
safe.
know it until after I said, hey, enjoy that Lords of Power set. He goes, are you kidding me? I'm like, 100%, man. You busted your ass. You learned camera. You learned how to do this. You invested in it. And you were the first to put your hands up and say, look, I'll help you shoot this in Michigan. And I said, okay, well, I'll make sure that you have a really seasoned shooter with you to capture it. So,
that's wonderful.
Yeah. I can't say thank you enough to the entire team that was up there. Again, Nathan, Cindy, Yamoto, you guys crushed it. I really appreciate the hospitality of everybody we interviewed, including Jeremy DeWitt, who does our cartoon Jay and Rob's as well. He got interviewed for Action Figure Adventure and Faking Filmation. Stephen Bisciotti, Lord Stephen Bisciotti of My Wife Is Going to Kill Me podcast and the Podcasters Universe. He interviewed as well, which was cool. And of course, Motu Joe, Justice Curry, and Pixel Dan all interviewed, but they're also, you know, the big stars of that story segment and how that all unfolded. So
that's so cool.
Blown away by everybody, the way that the community came together, both on the tech side and in front of the camera to make that happen and raise almost 5,000 Canadian, like in one day after kind of sussing it out and figuring out what to do. Almost 5,000 Canadian with more to sell over the, I don't know, however long it's going to take. So that all goes, that's all margin. It all goes to Children's Health Foundation, which is what this is about. So it's pretty cool. But then, Jay, as this all winds up and finishes, I see that you're hanging out with some pretty cool people as well, some pretty prominent toy guys. The very next day, doing some Transformers stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun. What was happening
there? That wasn't for... that was just buddies hanging out. That wasn't for any particular thing. We, Michael Mercy and I were talking about doing a table read of Transformers the movie 1986.
How'd that go?
And we thought it would be really, really fun. And we started, you know, we were just kind of saying the lines. And I'm like, no. We got to act. We got to do the voices for the characters. Right? And he's like, okay, well, here's the thing. That's a lot of characters and a lot of different voices. Have you ever met Captain Foley before of Truck Yards? I'm at, well, we've talked a lot online. I've never met Stuart before. Sorry, the captain. So Captain Foley came as well. and he's a huge Transformers fan as well. So the three of us and Lisa makes an appearance doing some RC lines, and we sat down and we did a table read and we acted out the film, and that will be on my YouTube in the next week or so. What a
Nice.
blast. What a blast. And it really reminded me of just getting down to the basics of why we do this, and that's just for pure fun. Just acting out the characters, and we had some of the toys set up and talking about why we love the film and why we love Transformers as a brand. And it was really cool. It really was like playing again without playing. Michael was kind enough to lend me Fortress Maximus, which I've never ever had. So he brought that over and kind of showed Stuart and I how to transform it in the different modes. And it really was like playing. And we were so close to actually like, do you just want to play with the toys? But we didn't quite get that far. So again, man, the message you and I have, Rob, and everything we do is to bring everyone together just for the love of what we do, for the passion of toys, passion of video games, whatever it is. Include everybody and just yeah, man, it was a blast. And it was great to see. It was great to see our message carry on in Michigan with Joe, Justice, and Dan as well. And to have those guys come together, and Nathan and Cindy and Emoto and everything, it's awesome. And I love being a part of that. I love bringing everyone together.
It's funny you say that. We talk about this. It's the new way we play. Displaying our figures or talking about toys is the new way we play instead of getting on the floor. I mean, I've got kids, so I still get on the floor. And even when they're not around and in bed, I still get on the floor. Pew, pew, zip, zoom.
Yeah.
But that's all that this is, folks. Whether we're making action figure adventure and going to the stores, whether, we're talking to people in Michigan who are part of it, it's all just play. I had a relative call us this weekend, and she's from Tanya's side of the family, and she asked, Rob, what do you do? We've never really had a conversation. I know you're in the kind of the entertainment space.
Well, what would you say you do here?
And the first thing I thought of was, well, I play. That's what I do. Like I just play a lot, in a lot of different ways. I mean, I'm a writer director. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a documentarian. Like the first thing I literally thought of is I play. And sometimes, we play doing this stuff and we play doing that stuff. It's all just playtime in different capacities, different hats, different characters, different jobs.
Yeah, it's really important. And I remember you and I took a lot of slack from parents and adults back in the day. You guys got to grow up. You got to blah, blah, blah. Not so much anymore, because it's like, okay, now I guess you're on TV and stuff. You have a couple movies. I guess this is legit. But yeah, I mean, this was the stuff that interested us, was the toys, the comic books, the video games. That's what we wanted to do. And it didn't feel right as we were growing up to let that stuff go. To traditionally play with the stuff, yeah, we had to stop that because it didn't feel right anymore. But we always wanted to be around these characters. We always wanted to watch the shows, collect the books, play the games, and that never changed, man. And now we get to do that for a living, and it's a fantastic feeling.
It's what I live for, man. It even though both with the sake of Nintendo Quest and a little bit to a similar degree with action figure adventure, though the stakes are different. These are games that we're creating ourselves, and we just play. No different than when we got on the floor and played mix up with our toys, right? It's the same thing.
We've never, I mean, anyone who knows me knows that I hated school. The thought of school just turns my guts. There was nothing at school I ever found interesting or intriguing. You also went a different route where your parents didn't necessarily want you to go to film school. You still did it anyway. You and I have always followed our guts and what we thought was right,
Yeah.
And I got to say, I'm proud of us for sticking to that, because we took a lot of crap, man, throughout the years. You can't do that. You can't go on the road and hunt for video games. You're growing, man. We're both like, well, watch us.
Well, what do you mean you're going to film your friend buying video games and toys? How are you going to pay your rent with that? I don't really know.
The first kind of thing like this was a short video documentary that you did on the video game Perfect Dark. This game was for the Nintendo 64. This was the successor to GoldenEye, and everyone was pumped for it, especially you and I. This was going to be the greatest thing ever. You showed up at my house. I can't even remember if I knew this was going to happen. You showed up at
No.
my house with your camcorder, your Sony
Yeah.
camcorder, and you were shooting basically what I was doing, was just getting ready, us getting in the car, going to the mall, going to EB Games to get the move or to get the game. You shot that, and we didn't know why, but it was just something we wanted to document, and that was really the first kind of seed into where all this began.
And the
It's certainly
filming
a seed
hasn't
planted for.
improved. The filming has not improved in 20 years for whatever reason. It is
I just
remarkably and eerily similar. That I don't know where the
yeah.
seed came from, though. To your
I
point, don't know
remember
why
I
we did it.
remember just we always would get shit. People like, why that's stupid. Why are you doing that? It's because simply we want to. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But we want to do it. We didn't know why
Yeah.
we wanted to do it. Probably just to look back on it in 20 years and say, hey, remember, we thought in 20 years we'd still be playing Perfect Dark. That's how highly we thought this game, how highly we thought of this game. And watching that video now, I'm so glad that we did that. And I can really see the roots of Nintendo Quest and action figure adventure and everything that came from that.
It's strange because like it's all the setups and payoffs that we do now, right? It's like it's the build up. What are we trying to do? Where's it going to be? Where are we going? Why does that place matter? And one of the questions we ask early on is, I wonder if it's going to be a colored cartridge. I bet it'll be black, like WrestleMania 2000, or maybe it'll be red, like.
And I remember the manager of EB Games at the time was a guy named John. And I remember John looked at us because the shipment hadn't arrived yet. And he looked at us, you were in the hallway shooting him from the hallway. And I kind of went in, and he was just looking at us like we had lobsters crawling out of our ears,
Yeah.
But it was so awesome. And that was like the year 2000. I don't want to say that's the first pickup video ever made, but we're certainly have been there from the beginning, man, doing stuff like that. So it's something that we've always had in us.
And then the following year, I did the Halo 2 one with just myself.
You did that in Toronto, yeah. You did that. You shot that in Toronto. The midnight launch for Halo.
Midnight launch Halo 2, the EB
cool.
in Oakville there, yeah. So, we should talk. You got a Sky Striker in the background there because we're talking about a lot of Haslab stuff has happened. Is that the new one that just got funded, or is that an original?
Oh yeah, I got the connections it has, bro. So
okay, I figured it was the prototype. Yeah,
this is the original Real American Hero 1983 Sky Striker, completely mint and whitey. Well, I thought nice. I would throw that up here just because we're going to talk about a few Haslab things, and I'm really excited the Sky Striker got funded, so congratulations.
So we can go down that path, the good news, or we can go down the bad news. Do you want to talk about Sky Striker or Rancor?
Let's talk about the Sky Striker first.
Okay.
I think it's great. It made it. There's a ton of stretch goals that got funded. The Cobra Troopers and Cobra Commander O-ring figures are getting made.
Yeah.
There's a little, I think, like launch kit thing that goes with it. And it's actually bigger. It's a little bit bigger than this one here. So it is actually going to be larger, which is also cool. So if you are a collector of Real American Hero, there is a reason to get this new one because it's more to scale with the actual figures, which is great. I didn't back it myself. Did you?
I couldn't. We have a bet.
Fair enough. So besides the bet, I didn't, just because, like we've talked about, I have this Sky Striker and I'm more than happy with it. We're not talking the Millennium Falcon here. If it was the Falcon, it might be different. But for me, I'm happy with the Real American Hero one. But I'm so glad to see the Joe fans so positive and rallying behind this. They're so excited. Unlike the Rancor Star Wars guys who have just been, complaining and moaning for their own reasons. And that's cool. Yeah. So, yeah, look at that. We get card backs here.
Yeah, I think this was the big turning point, right? Because like a day or so before the final 24 hours, they announced that at the base level, the 10,000 backers, which is what they needed to fund, on top of the 2 pilots that you're going to get from G.I. Joe, Ace and Wayne, you're going to get the 2 Cobra pilots and Cobra Commander all on card. So you're talking 5 figures if you hit 10,000 on card plus the Sky Striker for 229. So you got 5
They're
figures.
smart. Yeah, it looks like the Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander symbol. They've also done different paint apps on the Cobra Trooper. So
Smart.
his hands aren't gloved and he's got some gray around the knee pads and he has knee pads. And then the brand new, I don't even know what that is with like the vest on kind
He's
of
like
thing.
an air traffic controller, right? He's got the batons here
cool.
to wave them in. Plus all the decals too, or the decals, depending on where you're from, to put on your Sky Striker.
So Bradley in chat there says that Cobra is what sold me on it, and I think that was a huge turning point for it as well. They kind of did over the weekend. The Cobra takes over the Sky Striker campaign, which was Cobra Commander kind of interfering with the campaign. It was a really cool little story thing they did. I think
almost
if you're a
got
Joe
me.
fan, this is sweet, man. Like,
and then you get Scarlet because they hit 13,000, and then you've got the Night Force Ripcord, which is the one that so many hardcore collectors were talking about. Like our good friend Carson was talking about it. Dan K, who's another prominent G.I. Joe collector, was talking about it as well. So that's really wicked. We didn't get to the 2 pit crews, unfortunately. Hopefully Hasbro finds a way to make these available down the road because it's a lot of the same accessories the Cobra ones. The sculpting looks very similar as well. But, pretty cool that you get the 5 figures plus Scarlet, so 6 figures plus the 2 so 7 figures, is it then? Yeah, 7 figures plus the Sky Striker for 229. That's a pretty good value. I'm with you. I don't need this. I don't care that it's O-ring. I get why people want that for that nostalgic grab. I would rather just have the original at that point. But those Cobra add-ons, man, that was really hard to resist.
What's up, Kyle? Thanks, dude. The Canadian Commander. I want to say that the O-rings, we got to be careful with nostalgia because it's a powerful drug, and the O-rings are nothing but pure nostalgia because they don't make sense anymore because the rings will dry rot. They just will. We know this from 20, 30 years of that kind of figure. And I don't need to start an O-ring collection. I need a purpose for what's happening with the sets coming out. And now you got Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes, then you have these O-ring characters. So it doesn't make sense for me that way. But God bless anyone who wants to go down that path. I think it's cool, man.
I also think
now
the Rancor, but I think one thing that it's impossible to overlook is when the Rancor, which ended a day before the Sky Striker, failed, and I should say it did not fail by that much. It let me bring it up here on the screen, Jay. It failed by something like 500 backers only, so it made up a ton of ground in a short amount of time. Like, look at this. It was 500 backers, and it was losing. It was less than a week to go. It had 50%.
So adding the Rancor Keeper.
Adding the Rancor Keeper seemed to have had done a lot, but not enough. And they were constantly digging themselves out. But when this crashed, I think a number of backers jumped to the Sky Striker kind of instantly because the Sky Striker went from like 7,100 backers to like 9,500, like almost instantly.
Sure. Yeah. The problem, this is my opinion with the Rancor, was the price was too high for what they showed up front. I think Hasbro in this case was a little stingy on what you got right off the bat. If they had the Rancor and the Rancor Keeper and something else for that $350, you would have seen a lot more people. But the fact that I guess they just overestimated Star Wars, I don't know. But the fact that you just got the Rancor for $350, it was like, okay, it's a cool character, but not for that much money. So go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just from now on, I think you're going to see they have to put more upfront as an initial offering if you're going to slam us with that much, like $350.
I agree. I think for that Rancor to win, you need at least 3 Black Series figures on the base level. You need 3. So if you want it to be the Rancor Keeper, Salacious Crumb, and Luke, that makes that 350 price point a lot easier. Do not make a tier something that's going to be part of the packaging. Even the bones could be a throw in. Like, make it a no brainer. Cut the profit margin to get the numbers there, and then entice with further tiers down the road. I think that is a good blueprint to future proof any Haslabs. More up front, and then entice everybody that's there to help spread the word.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. But people voted with their wallets, and I think that's great. I didn't want it to fail. I don't want any
No, of course
Hasbro.
not.
I don't want any Hasbro project to fail. I think Hasbro, they own everything, so I don't want to see it fail. But people are voting with their wallets, and I
Which is
also,
good.
yes, I like to see that. I like to see things not succeed in this instance, because Hasbro needs to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, well, we need to change our model a bit. We need to put a lot more up front, and then we'll succeed going forward. I think it's a good lesson.
Now, one of the other big things that I think Haslab will do differently going forward is not have so many concurrent projects. It's like everything they've done, other than the Cookie Monster fiasco, has funded. It's funded, but nothing has ever really overlapped to the degree that it has either. So if we're future proofing crowdfunding campaigns for these big toy ticket items, don't have Ghostbusters, G.I. Joe, and Star Wars overlapping. Because if there is some truth to people that, back the Rancor, jump ship, literally, to the Sky Striker, then that tells you you're really dividing your audience. I think a lot of collectors would like to have a lot of big toys, but if you're making them choose, you can't have them all. I'm curious what you think. How often should one of these Haslab projects happen? Once a
I'd
year?
say
Twice a year?
four times a year, have one a season, but just one a season. And then that way, you're going to hit pretty much everyone. I mean, it's impossible to please everybody with the IPs, but there's only so much money. Not to mention the common figures that we collect within these IPs as well. So the common Marvel Legends and Star Wars figures that we need to get, and then there's the big Haslab stuff. It's impossible unless you're a millionaire to get all this stuff. It's too much money. It's too quick. I agree with you. I think they need to just slow down a little bit.
I would like to see quarterly.
Yeah, quarterly, Sonny. Yeah,
feels
quarterly,
right to me, but I think I'd also be happy if it was 3 times a year only. Once every 4 months isn't as bad, depending on what the project is. Even twice a year only, like give me the summer one and give me like the winter one kind of deal. Like June, January, something like that, or February, August, or something,
I
just to
guess
split it up.
the real problem, I guess, I have, it just popped into my mind now, like with the Sky Striker, is that when a new line comes out, I like to see the vision of the line. Like Origins is a great example of doing it right. You can see where they're going. You can see the bigger picture. With G.I. Joe, besides classified, like with this Sky Striker, I really don't get it. It's just like you get Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, then you're getting this guy here, then that guy there. There's no waves, there's no real vision. They're just kind of putting out collector's pieces, it feels like. That's why another reason I'm really not jumping on board with it, because it just doesn't make sense.
It feels like a specialty item that is infrequent. Like you don't know how far this. It's almost like Thundercats. Like when is that line really going to end, and are you going to get the whole thing? Versus, okay, here's a special piece, so you better jump on it now, or you're going to miss it. Or here's something else that's a special, but it's not part of anything bigger. It's just like here's a dabble of this, here's a dabble of that. Like you said, Origins, it's really clear what they're doing. Classified, it's really clear what they're doing. Black Series, it's clear what they're doing.
Origins is great because you know there's a playset and they've made the core important vehicles so far, so there'll be a Snake Mountain, there'll be whatever else, and I like that. It's like it's like you're investing in the product.
Vision,
it's like, okay,
like you said.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem paying this and that, because I know that this is going to have a long future. Where the Joe stuff is very sporadic, even classified, even though there are waves, it's very sporadic in what you're getting and why they're picking these figures. And I don't know, the GI Joe stuff is great, but I need more of a rhythm to get
Yeah,
on board
it,
with
it would
all
be
of it.
nice to see kind of like a planogram is what they call it. Like, what is the plan to get everybody excited and have that kind of discussion? So a little bit more transparency. If it's not evident with the releases, like it is with Masters of the Universe Origins, where you can tell what's coming and what has yet to come and where the
Yeah.
obvious next steps would be, a planogram like they used to do with Matty Collector and the subscription stuff for classics, you knew what was coming. It wasn't a mystery. This is where they were
Yeah.
going to go. And there were some slots and up for debate and fan voting and stuff like that. I agree. More transparency on what the plan is for GI Joe. At least this vintage stuff, which isn't the retro vintage cardback stuff in Walmart that looks completely different, that isn't O-ring and it isn't classified
Oh,
and
that
it
stuff's
isn't that
horrible.
flavor. It's just,
Yeah.
again, it's like a fourth flavor of GI Joe, which is like, okay, where
Well,
does it fit?
they're trying to hit every corner of the market, and I get it. I mean, it works with Star Wars where you have 6-inch and then 3-inch, but the Joe 375s now are really sloppy. Not the O-rings, the other ones, because they're just reissues of the 25th anniversary figures. The scale is off because they're putting the 4-inch figures with the 3.75 vehicles. It's just a messy line. All you're buying is the Hector Garrido card art. That's
Yeah.
what's selling those figures.
Well, it's no different than a reaction figure, right? Those figures are not the greatest figures. It's that card art and that
I still
that
really want to
fun of getting
see.
them.
I still really want to see those in person. There's a lot of comments actually right in the chat there about Mask.
Yeah, Mask would be a
Yeah, a
great
lot of
Haslab.
people want to see Mask. There's something with that series, and Hasbro has to know that people want Mask. And I mean, they've been, in Humanoids and all the other obscure ones, but Mask is really at the forefront of that B-list toy line
I
that I think
agree.
deserves it. They're Hasbro was so anxious to throw out everything else. I don't know why Mask. They're either taking their time or they're just not sure what to do with it.
Well, I mean, I would take, even a 4-inch scaled figure in appropriately scaled up version of Thunderhawk, just as a start. Just as a start. If they didn't want to go full 6-inch figures, and then obviously a
Well,
much bigger
you could,
Thunderhawk.
since the classifieds have more or less stripped the Joes away from their vehicles, which I think the Joes need vehicles like Mask need their vehicles. I would be happy just to see the figures for Mask. You could do a
Oh, no.
6-inch scale
Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
figure.
Those
I g-
vehicles are so integral to Mask. They're more integral than Joe because the vehicle goes with the character. It's Batman to the Batmobile for every single character. It's the
maybe
yin and
it's
the yang.
like we've talked about before. Maybe it's the era, because I don't know, maybe it's the nostalgia talking in me, but I really think if you made the vehicles modern, I guess because I think modern cars are so boring that
Yeah.
it would really be not as great. But again, just reissue the not reissue, but do the setting in the 80s with all the great 80s
Yeah.
and 70s cars that they had.
Yeah, I agree. I want to talk about PowerCon, Jay, before we get to Action Figure
Mhm.
Spotlight, because PowerCon in the last 24 hours or so made a big, colossal announcement in that it is shifting venues and shifting cities for the 2022 show, which will be held in August. Very specifically, end of note, it is now PowerCon, America's mightiest toy show. It is seemingly no longer a dedicated Masters of the Universe, He-Man and She-Ra convention. It is full-on toy show set to be held
Oh,
August 5th to 7th in Columbus, Ohio. And looks
yeah.
to be featuring lots of different toys. You're seeing on the screen share My Little Pony, Bratz dolls. There
Mhm.
was some G.I. Joe there as well. I'm going to scroll down the page just to see what else is there. We don't know too much about it other than it is seemingly focusing on toys. I will read the blurb for everybody here. This comes straight from the email that I got since I'm a subscriber and I've attended previous shows. After a decade, PowerCon is taking the next step in its journey. In 2022, the show will be moving to Columbus, Ohio, and will expand its focus to include many of today's toys and collectibles. Next August 5th through 7th, you have the opportunity to gather in the heartland of America to check out the current offerings from some of today's best companies. You'll get hints of what will be coming next, and you will get to meet the creators behind a number of your cherished toy lines. Fans have loved the treatment PowerCon has given to other properties, so many have asked us to include more of their favorites. So we decided it was time to do exactly that. Including upstarts, independent studios, and some of the biggest names in toys, PowerCon will feature so much more than before. What are your gut reactions to that?
I've only been to a handful of these cons. We shot at TF Con a couple years ago, which was labeled as a Transformers con, but we went in there and quickly saw that it was so much more than Transformers. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I'm sure there's a lot of Masters fans that are going to be a little annoyed. Not only the location has changed, but that it's not just He-Man. I think it's good. I think inclusion is good. I think you're going to see Masters of the Universe still being at the forefront because that's where all the people. But I can't blame them for wanting to expand. And there's so many IPs out there and so many hardcore fan bases for all these. They want to include everyone together. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. Also, I think moving it to Ohio, you're going to see it a lot more accessible to people that can't get to the West Coast, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn because I don't know what's going to make it unique. I don't know what's going to make it stand out from other toy cons. Frankly, PowerCon, even though it was branded as the He-Man and She-Ra convention, like TFCon, had a number of other brands quite present, and you can see a lot of it in Action Figure Adventure Season 1. There is tons of other merch. I came across, the Jungle Challenge Matt Tracker there, sealed on card, for example, amongst many, many other things. So I don't think it's, necessarily is it going to, push away other IPs and brands. And in the past, PowerCon has had TMNT for, I think it was TurtleCon, and Thundercats for ThunderCon was part of it, kind of a subset. I think it was in 2011 that they included those two brands, and it didn't go over well. Fans felt that it diluted the experience. And I guess my initial takeaway is I don't know what makes this special anymore other than it just being another toy show. Now, that said, I love toy shows. You and I love toy shows. For the sake of us being able to go around and film, this is great. We're going to get to meet a lot of other toy creators that are part of other brands. That's awesome. It checks all those boxes for you and I. I certainly want to go driving to Columbus. It's something we've done many times. It's way closer for us. A lot of the big toy companies, Mondo, Sideshow, Mattel, they're all on the West Coast. So those places were a lot easier. Those companies were a lot easier to get to PowerCon where it was before. I just also think with something like PowerCon, you had those initial cartoons, the Filmation ones, that really brought people together. We all had that seedling from where we started, those shows that allowed us to speak the same language and teach us the same values. And we came together for that. Sure, there was toys, sure, there was exclusives and panels, but we spoke a common language, a commonality. We sought out those like-minded people, and we found them there in spades. And I feel like it's, again, nothing is going to be special about this. So I'm optimistically skeptical about what PowerCon is going to become when you take away the one thing that you were doing that nobody else was really doing. There's a couple other He-Man conventions, Los Amigos and Grayskull Con in Europe, but nobody else in North America was doing it. It'd be like taking Joe Fest, which features a number of other IPs, and not making it Joe Fest, or TF Con and just calling it something else, making it another toy show.
Yeah.
Columbus has a lot of toy shows already, a lot of gaming shows. The location is cool. I'll be there. I love Val Staples, who puts on PowerCon. He's a great friend. Action Figure Adventure and Faking Filmation wouldn't be possible to some degree if it wasn't for his assistance, letting us get in there, letting us shoot, making the connections we have. I hope it's awesome because I want success, just like the Haslab stuff that you and I have said. I want to see success. I hope it does great. I'm optimistically skeptical. I don't think it'll default to a still He-Man and She-Ra crowd. I don't think that is going to be the flavor. And I'm sure there's reasons for that too.
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with trying something new. I think we're so afraid of, things being shook up. And you know what? If Val puts on the con and it doesn't work, he doesn't get the numbers he wants, or he gets a lot of negative feedback, just go back to PowerCon, man. I don't think there's anything wrong with trying something new to see if we can get I saw like My Little Pony stuff, and I think all that's great, man. I don't think there's enough inclusion, so I can't blame them for trying something different. Again, if it doesn't work out, just go back to the old formula.
And frankly, I'm playing with half a deck. I have no idea what it's like to do just a He-Man and She-Ra show, let alone any show. There could be a lot of political connotations with trying to keep the moniker of the official He-Man and She-Ra convention. What kind of rules is Val going to have to play by behind the scenes to appease Mattel and Netflix and Mattel Television
And maybe
and
that's it. Maybe he's just
Universal?
tired of following those guidelines. I know that if you're trying to do a Star Wars con, the Disney guidelines are ridiculous. So I
I
can't blame
bet.
him. Maybe it's something to do with that, where he's just like, you know what? We'll have a lot of master stuff, but we're gonna have everything else, so I don't have to deal with all that red tape.
We'll see what happens in 2022. If not, expect London, Ontario in 2023 to house EterniaCon, hosted by your two guests here tonight, your two hosts, Jay and Rob. We'll host EterniaCon in Canada. What do you think, Jay?
Dude, I'm down. Only if you dress as He-Man, though. I think that's a must.
Isn't that how I always attend these shows? Rob?
I'm just kind of warning everybody ahead of time so they can mentally prepare for what they're about to see, because it's pretty awesome.
All right. The most powerful furry man in the universe. Let's get to action figure spotlight. What do you think?
Yeah, so because we haven't been able to buy anything, I got a pre-order that I had in for what seems like 6 months already, and that's this guy came from Big Bad Toy Store. I opened him because another resolution that you and I have kind of agreed on is that we're gonna open up more of these dollies and throw away these boxes that are just taking up space. This is a surprisingly small Sharkticon. This is from Wave 2 of the Transformers 86 movie toy line.
Nice.
Don't really know how I feel about him. He's not super exciting. I can't say I'm a big fan of Sharkticons at all. I turned him into the Sharkticon, which I had to look up a video how to do because I can't transform these things to save my life. But there's a Sharkticon, so he's going to go with Hot Rod and Cup so I can punch him in the mouth. I wouldn't suggest army building these. I don't think the figure is super great, and they're also $35 each.
That's pricey.
I guess it's no doubt or no different than any other Hasbro. But there's my Sharkticon. Not super exciting, but a welcome addition to the Transformers the movie collection that I'm housing.
I always liked the original Sharkticon figure, but again, my big issue with Transformers, as people will hear me rant on several episodes, notably probably tonight's on Jinx Esports TV, is the scale.
Well,
the size of the original Sharkticon is huge compared to the other figures. But I like it, but this
is completely to scale. All these guys and the War for Cybertron, they're all to scale with each other, save for when you're getting crazy like the Haslab Unicron, Omega Supreme, stuff like that. Yeah. But we're talking about like Jetfire, Skyfire, and Skylinks. They're all to scale to Prime and all of them. So that's really great. And the Sharkticon is to scale to Hot Rod and Cup. So it's great.
You mentioned Skylinks. That makes me want to get him because that was
he's up in the corner. Yeah,
I haven't seen your Skylinks. We gotta fix that. Even if we just do a private off here show and tell, because that was one of the few Transformers I had. I had a lot of G2 Transformers and stuff like that.
And he plays a really big role in the War for Cybertron. He's like a very spiritual guide for Optimus. He's really cool in the show.
It reminds me of Granomir for whatever reason.
Yeah,
well, because he's like a dinosaur dragon. Or
absolutely.
I'll give you a choice. I have not only the boxes in my hallway that I alluded to from Big Bad Toy Store, but I have other stuff here, and I specifically have a vintage figure that finally came, and it's the first vintage figure I've bought in a long time. Because mainly it's just new pre-orders that get shoved at my door, and I have a new figure as well. So you can pick between the vintage figure or something newer.
Well, we have to be pretty sparing with what we have since we can't go shopping now. So let's do the vintage for a change. Let's do the vintage figure.
Okay, the vintage figure. This may have been the figure that really got me to put the brakes on everything. Do you want to hazard a guess as to what this might be? That you have
This
no way of possibly knowing, but just take a guess.
give me a hint on what it's from, like what series it's
Masters.
from.
Masters.
Vintage Masters figure. I know you don't like Ninjor. So it's not him. I'm gonna guess. Oh boy, let's guess.
I'm gonna send it to your head. I'm gonna send it to your head.
I'm gonna say a Horde Trooper because they're so awesome.
Nope.
Nope.
Not a
okay.
Horde Trooper, but not super far off. Well, yeah, sure. What I have here is a carded vintage sorceress.
That's
Now,
way off. Not even close
well,
to Horde
Hordax
Trooper.
on the back.
Oh,
Hordax on
Hordax
the
on the
back.
back.
There's a
Oh,
lot
the
of
troopers on the back. Okay,
troopers back
there
here,
it is.
yeah, too.
Oh, that's beautiful.
This is nice. The only damage, of course, is the hang tab right here. That's the biggest damage, but that bubble is really clean. The figure is obviously in amazing condition.
Oh man, that's just amazing.
Those late run Masters of the Universe figures, of course, are just really hard to find. They're skyrocketing in value, as I know very well. I got to get this in a mock master. Joe, if you're out there watching or catching this on the review, we need a mock master on this. We need to properly protect this. This is a case that I don't have a lot of faith in, so we got to make sure we get that. But this was one of the last Masters of the Universe figures that I had, and the opportunity came up to acquire, and I couldn't say no. This is a loose figure I've wanted for a while. I have the Club Grayskull one, which is just awesome, but I've always had a soft spot for this classic figure. I don't know why. It just, I mean,
wow,
she was
always really hard to get. You know, that era of Masters figures along with King Randor. I mean, that reminds me of, you know, the last 10 Star Wars figures from the Power of the Force, right? They're always special because like that was the end, right? And I remember Sorceress always, I never had her. I don't think you had her. Did you have her?
I had her. She was one of the ones I had, of course. So you got that Wicked card art at the back with Hordak there, because of course they're promoting the Horde. Flying Fist He-Man, Rio Blast, Extendar, and of course the Horde Trooper, Dragster, Hurricane Hordak. So you know they're getting the second release. 1986 for this. And of course,
you know what I had a dream about the other day, speaking of Sorceress, I had a dream about Zor, like the original Zor figure, and I really want that figure. Sure. Like I had Screech, but I never had Zor. So maybe when we're after the bet's over, I'm going to look for one because I really want to put one on display. I think it's just a gorgeous looking figure.
What I remember as a kid about grabbing this figure finally was that it felt like Grayskull was finally complete, because for so many years you played with your guys, but you never had the Sorceress there to complete that story. So to have that figure finally come out, the third female figure after Tila and Evelyn, it felt like, oh, thank God, finally. Like King Randor, sure, sort of could be part of the story if you wanted, but this was an essential character that was part of the TV show that you just needed to complete the storytelling. So
Randor was great, and he was like, again, one of those, you know, like a man or Yak Face or one of the last Star Wars figures. It was cool to have, but they didn't make Queen Marlena, which never made sense. So it always kind of felt weird to have the king without her.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I agree 100%. That'll do it for another episode of the Jay and Rob Toy Show. There's lots left on the outline. We'll get to that next week, of course, when we delve into, who knows, maybe some big news, maybe some reveals, maybe some teases. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and for all those that checked us out on Jinx Esports TV earlier as we battled the best of the best in many different categories. I got to tell you, Jay, I'm getting excited about season 3, which we're going to have to figure out and coordinate to record at some point.
Those are a lot of fun, and I can't wait to do the third season. That's great. And you know, just a shout out to Jinx. I saw the little graphic they did for Christmas with you and I at the forefront, and a PS5 controller. It was just pretty cool that we're by a PS5 controller. But they made a really cool graphic for us, and not for us, for their network, but featured you and I, and I'm just so humbled by that. So
yeah,
thanks, guys. That's so cool.
Yeah. Where can people find you, Jay, in the coming days to check out what's been going on and what will be coming on with everything involved in you?
Yeah, so YouTube, my new video will be out this week featuring Michael Mercy and Captain Foley of Trek Yards. 3 grown men acting out Transformers the movie with the voices and some effects. You don't want to miss it because I'm having a blast editing it because it's just ridiculously funny. So check that out. YouTube is just Jay Bartlett. And thanks again for all the new subs and everyone who's watched my videos.
Looking forward to it, my friend. You know, I'm going to be the first to check it and send you messages incessantly
Make fun
through
of
the
me.
entire thing. No, I would. That's not my speed. We support, we don't destroy. You can hit me up on Twitter at Rob McZob, on Instagram, all the usual places at Action Figure Adventure, at the Jay and Rob Toy Show, at Rob McCallum Films. All the social links are in the YouTube thing. Click that subscribe button again. I'm almost at the magical mark of 1,000 subs, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe that? People actually
That's
love this
great.
crap that we churn out. And I thank
Yeah.
you for the smiles that come with it. Like we end every episode, Jay, we say something along the lines of, for the love of toys and the warmth of scarves, take care of yourselves.
And each other.
Because the best time of day, Jay, is...
Playtime, of course, silly.
That's right. We'll see you all next week for a little bit more play. Cheers.